Hello, everybody. Welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Euro 2024. My name is Suj.
My name is James.
The world where everything revolves around Euro 2024.
How's your Euro fantasy start?
I would say very quiet. Like I've had a busy weekend, James. I had to get out of my house this morning. This whole thing that I'm leaving the country, like Saturday I'm out, and it's kind of crept up. So. And obviously you want to see a lot of people and have a few drinks before going. Say bye to
drinks. That's one way to describe our Saturday.
What's a few? 5? Several? Was some? And ended up...
I had at least 5 too many.
Ended up being quite... not as engaged with the football this weekend, but it's still early in the tournament, right? And I knew I had this kind of deadline of being out of my house today. So... I haven't been overly paying attention to the games, but we'll talk about them. I've been keeping a track on the scores and where we are so far. But obviously, the start of my Euro fantasy was Germany triple defence not keeping a clean sheet because of 0 shots on target. How can you not keep a clean sheet with 0 shots on target? Was it 0 shots on target in total in the end?
Yeah.
Yeah. So but to be honest, that is the ultimate example of, what would you call it, variance? Is that what the kids call it on Twitter these days?
It's just bad luck.
I mean, it is what it is. The irony, though, I don't call it irony, saving grace is probably the right word, James, is that, have you got any clean sheet points so far?
No,
because if you don't own a Spain or England goalkeeper or defender, no one's got any clean sheet points so far, and there's not many defensive returns at all. So there was a point at which Tar, Rudiger and Mittelstadt were on for about 30 points for me with Tar captain. Ended up being like 6 or something stupid like that. So it was a big swing to lose.
That many?
What?
Rudiger's like minus, would he?
No, 3, 3 and 2. So it's 8 points between the three.
Rudiger not get like a -1?
He got a -2, but he got ball recoveries.
Oh, well done.
Yeah. And Jonathan Tah got ball recoveries as well. So Rudiger, he did get ball recoveries, but he got a yellow card, own goal, and 1 goal conceded. So yeah, it was a disappointment. Since then, I had Jorginho, my like token Saturday captaincy. He's the only player I had play for me on Saturday. And then yesterday, I just had the 2 England boys in Pickford, which I will stick with over Costa.
Yep.
And Harry Kane, who I didn't armband. Missed deadline, innit? But, it doesn't matter, right? Because even if Kane had scored a goal, which he very nearly did, I would have still moved the armband on to Mbappe. So as it stands right now, I've had only 1 return, which is from 5 players, which is Jordan Pickford, clean sheet, yet 2 more of those players are going to be dumped from my team for Bruno Fernandes and João Cancelo. So depending on what happens with Wout Face today, he'll be the one to go, or one of Tar and Rudiger will make way for Cancelo. And then I've still got Sabitzer, Trossard, Sudakov, Mbappe captain, Lukaku to go. So this is the ultimate game where don't be a mid-match week.
Kinda.
Rank wanker, will you?
But still, you're better off being in a position where you've got points on the board, right?
Oh, always, because you don't then have to make substitutions. But like I said, I'm on 16 points, technically off 3 players as it stands, or whatever. So not a great start, James, but I think it is very hard to know what is a great start because, having Havertz and maybe...
Well, bottom line, there'll be so many people obviously captain, say, Mbappe or Lukaku tonight, and then if that doesn't go well, Ronaldo or Fernandes tomorrow. Like, if any of these players haul, that's going to make a big difference to someone like me who's probably now sticking on captaincy, because I went with, hey, Jude. Please don't do that again, James. Yeah, I'm sticking.
What did he score?
12.
12, that's not too
12.
bad.
Clean sheet, ball recoveries, goal, obviously, and inevitable man of the match to go with it as well. So 12, I had Havertz and Wirtz Friday night. Never was going to stick on. I captained Havertz for 9. Even if I'd gone Wirtz, there was no way I was sticking on 10 from day 1 of 5. Yep. So I moved to DeMarco on Saturday and then Jude last night. I think 12 at this stage for a Lukaku or Ronaldo, which are my 2 other options, to beat it. They've got to score twice and hit man of the match. So I think at 12, that becomes a stick now for me. But I think, yeah, if anyone was on anything less than, I don't know, if they captain Mark Gay yesterday, for example, I think finished on 8, Mark Gay, actually. Like, I'd be moving that on. Anything single digits with the power players today and tomorrow, I'd still be moving that on. I think if you're on Jude, yeah, you'd stick, I think. And that if you decided you want to stick on Verts' 10 from Friday, then it's fine as well. So I'll be sticking Frimpong, the letdown. It was exactly what Part thought it would be, that he might not play. That became clear during the day on Saturday as well. So that's an obvious transfer out heading into match day 2, and the fact they're playing France as well. Who would you... Have you got Lukaku as well? And Mbappe? So who are you captaining tonight?
Mbappe.
Yeah, it's a flip, isn't it?
Really is.
I think I'd go Lukaku, you know. I mean, I'm kind of saying that in the sense that I went against Mbappe anyway, but...
Yep.
Yeah, I think Austria are stronger than Slovakia. We do think Mbappe's fine, by the way. There was some rumours went round Friday, but as far as we're aware, he's good to go tonight.
You know, captaining Mbappe keeps me with the pack. Captaining Lukaku helps me make up ground. So, got to look at it. Which way do you want to play it, really?
I mean, reality is you just go with the one that you think is going to score the most points.
Exactly. That's the simplest way to play this game.
Yeah, it absolutely is. What would you do if you're a Bart Verbruggen owner?
And had Pickford. Oh, no, Verbruggen.
Well, no, you've obviously Pickford. If you've got a clean sheet like Pickford, you stick. Yeah, for me, that's
if you had Costa or what?
That's never. If you've got a goalkeeper clean sheet, that's never worth gambling. Costa might make a penalty save as well. No, but Verbruggen. A lot of people got Verbruggen, who scored 4 yesterday.
I'd probably stick.
I think it would depend what my other keeper was.
Well, if it's a Costa, I'd probably...
I think if it's Costa, I'd flip it, yeah.
If it's Mannion, probably not. Castells, probably not.
If you've got a strong one, what's your worst case? You know, he concedes and you end up on 2, maybe.
Yeah, maybe a save point 3 or something.
I'd always, because it's such a short format game, anything that's kind of like a 50-50, I would gamble, personally. But I get there'll be others might have, say, like Moldovan today, and you might not fancy them to do anything. I get that one a little bit more in terms of like stick. But even then, I still feel like your whole potential of what if it is 0-0 and he makes a load of saves, I would largely be gambling it, personally.
Okay. Should we talk about some of the games from over the weekend? We've had 7 so far. No major shock results, I would say.
It's only been 1. Which was Denmark
draw.
Not winning yesterday.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
and again,
it's
a draw, right? It's not like they got beat or it was a defeat that put them out or whatever. They'll just look at that and, right, fine. All right, all we've got to do is, as long as we still beat Serbia, Denmark will be thinking they'll still go through. I mean, it's done England the world of favours because they know a draw against Denmark on Thursday will pretty much put England through.
Oh, your 4 points going to get you through.
Yeah, exactly.
I suspect the way this tournament started, someone's going to get out of the groups on 3 points.
Yep.
We were looking at it actually, a bit hazy Saturday night, that normally 3 points and minus 1 goal difference, if you'd finished 3rd in the last 2 Euros, has been enough.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, Scotland, the problem, say, with Scotland is because they lost by 4. How do you get to if they lose to Switzerland, how do you get to the -1? We've got to win by 4, haven't you?
Well,
2 or 3 or 4.
It's a good segue, James, to talk about Germany 5, Scotland 1. Yes, that flipping Rudiger own goal hurt, but you know what? It is what it is. Like, if they all come in with a clean sheet this week, it's fine. It will pay for itself over the way that I'm going to play the game. I don't know if, as a neutral, does this say more about Germany or Scotland?
Somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle. I think Germany were really good. In the opening half hour, Scotland just could not cope with particularly Gundogan, actually. I know, like, Musiala was man of the match comfortably, and he was superb. Musiala and Wirtz would kind of maybe start in wide positions, and you'd be like, oh my God, they're both in the 10 position, and just with Gundogan swamp him. But Gundogan obviously stayed central nearly all the time, and he was just dragging Scotland backwards, and he was picking up positions between Scotland's back 5 and their kind of block of a 4 centrally in the midfield, and Germany were just feeding it into him and just going off. And then when Scotland went, we don't like this, we'll go deeper, Tony Cruz just started firing 50-yard diagonals out. So it was like, if you damned if you do, damned if you don't. When they switched to 5-3-2, they were a little bit better. because then McGregor went and got closer to Gundogan, so it stopped that one particular pass a lot more. But then obviously they had a player sent off as well, Ryan Porteous, which is, have you seen the tackle?
No.
It's definitely a red card. There's not really an argument about it. So you're 2-0 down, and then this guy lunges in with a pretty terrible tackle. Gundogan's very lucky not to be in serious damage and danger from that. So you're 3-0 down. You start, I mean, the first thing I did, 10 men 3-0 down against Germany, I'd start looking at record defeats and stuff. And actually to only lose 5-1 in the end is almost respectable considering the position they were in.
How much did Germany take their foot off the gas, though? So
massively. Yeah. They massively took their foot off the pedal. And Scotland, obviously, at that point, are just putting up a resistance to keeping what they got. I mean, the goal is so laughable. Suj, the own goal, because I think it's the only time they went in Germany's box,
we talked about this because we saw each other on Saturday. You said it had an XG of 0.01, which I think is generous because I think it wasn't on target, the header. It was going back across goal and then comes off Rudiger's header.
Well, I can't think what else in the game gave Scotland the 0.01. There's a few models that got it at 0.02.
Maybe a keeper took a goal kick that went all the way to,
but I think it's
to the keeper.
What it is, it's like it's landing on his head. If he heads it on target, then so you're judging the probability of the chance. Right. The header obviously is not going on target, but as it comes towards his head, right, what's the probability of you scoring here? Okay, it's like 1 in 100 or 1 in 50. That's how they're judging it on the model. That's the only thing I could think of where it came from. It did spawn some absolutely terrific tweets, I must say, Suj, from the game. And the beauty with the Scots
from the game or from fans, you mean?
Yeah,
or from officially from the game.
I love a couple of these that went round. These aren't from FPL people, but just tweets I saw. Grant Hanley obviously was brought on at half time, and Scotland stuck with the back five because of Porteous' red card. Bringing Grant Hanley on at 3-0 down is like wearing armbands after you've drowned. If you don't like that one, what about this one? Swapping Grant Hanley for Ryan Porteous is like changing your shirt when you've shat your trousers. And someone else said, I did think Scotland were in trouble when Kieran Tierney celebrated winning a goal kick in the 3rd minute, which I did recall that really did happen. Scotland were bad, to caveat all the excellence of Germany. I think Germany are probably going to be the most tactically flexible team in this tournament, possibly because their manager is very skilled at moving the parts in Julian Nagelsmann. Whereas I think he's a club manager, really, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's probably going to rein himself. He said this himself, I'm going to rein myself in terms of how much info I give out because I don't work with the players on an everyday basis. But as the tournament goes on, you might get more of that. And it was unique what they did with the 3 attacking players behind Kai Havertz. For Scotland, on that basis, they won't get nothing against Switzerland on Wednesday night.
No, I mean, Switzerland 3, Hungary 1.
Billy Gilmore in the team would be a good start for Scotland.
Well,
let me say that.
Yeah. Some legs and energy for sure. Switzerland 3, Hungary 1. Expected. I mean, Hungary, a lot of people are tipped as maybe dark horses, or they've got some interesting and good players potentially. Some gambled on Szoboszlai, and he picked up the assist. I don't know anybody that gambled on Switzerland players, to be honest with you. Not many at all.
I think a few of us on our strategy, Suj, sort of looking at Limitless 3 and looking at Switzerland playing Hungary and Scotland, were very tempted. The problem was there was nothing offensively that massively stood out. And you keep looking at Shaqiri. Oh, Shaqiri's on pens. Well, Shaqiri didn't even get on the pitch, right? And I'm not sure that he necessarily will after this. Game finished off really late on by Bril Mbolo losing his, what was it, like a knee strapping or something.
Brace.
It was like falling down his leg as he scored the winning goal. But actually it came after a period where Hungary had really frightened Switzerland. The one that's obviously done really well for Switzerland was the left wing back, Michael Arbascher, who's a Genoa player but actually doesn't even play regularly for them. Oh, no one was talking him up, got a goal and assist. He is actually a 5 million midfielder. So he is someone you could add into that area. Say you want to get rid of Jorginho, you know, Jorginho's playing Spain, and I don't have the money in the bank. Well, this fella's playing Scotland, but it is as a midfielder.
Yep.
So, but that's certainly one that could be considered. Otherwise, I don't think there's anything else that you'd necessarily steam into new for Switzerland. And I just think to go back on Germany as well. Presumably, you probably already had what you wanted with Germany, rather than looking for more. Obviously, there'll be people on Limitless this week. I still think you're looking at Germany because they'll create plenty of chances against Hungary. And I think I also saw that Germany might be the highest for clean sheet odds in game 2 as well. So to give you a caveat.
Yay! So when they screw me over for a second time, we can have double the laughs.
Your treble German defence. Yeah, look, Switzerland in the first half played some really nice stuff. Looked like a really good football team. And then they lost their way quite a bit in the second half. There's been a pattern of that throughout the games, actually. I saw a stat last night that the opening half hour has had as many goals as the last hour in games so far, which is quite interesting. Okay. I don't know if a lot of the outsiders are playing with a bit of fear to start the game, maybe. I mean, look at how Serbia improved last night, for example. Yeah. It was similar with Hungary during this game on Saturday. When Hungary got their goal back through Vargas, you thought, yeah, it's potentially on. Shout out to Martin Adam, who I think was the big takeaway from the game, not from a fantasy perspective. Came on, the number 9, played up front for Hungary in the last quarter of an hour or so. My God, if you saw this guy on the streets, as you would cross the road.
Big unit.
Big unit. I mean, when he's coming on your game, he's not a footballer. But yeah, if you went for a challenge for him in the air, you're not winning it.
Scarier than Holland?
He looked like something out of a film, mate.
Okay. Cyborg.
It's just so meaty and heavy. You got the big beard and everything. Yeah, you'd get killed. I think, interestingly, this group now is probably likely to be one of the groups where you don't have a third place team go through. Purely on what's coming next, you would expect Germany to beat Hungary, I think. And to be honest, with what we've seen, I would expect Switzerland to beat Scotland as well. Then you got them 2 on 6 points play each other, the other 2 on 0 playing each other, but also with a bad goal difference. Yep. So the best case scenario for Hungary, if they got beat by Germany, is they go into the final game with Scotland on a -3. For Scotland, it's a -5. Yeah. So then to hit that -1 that might give you a chance, you've got to win by a couple of goals. In Hungary's case, and for Scotland, you'd have to win massively. Yep. So I think this could well be a group that doesn't have someone go through. For the England ones who want to know, that makes it a little bit more likely that we might play the third place from Group E rather than Group D. Okie dokie.
Let's talk about Spain 3, Croatia 0. Your funny stat almost plays out here, but they scored in the 32nd minute their second goal rather than the 30th minute, James. True. So they scored more in the second hour than the first 30, but fast start. Took the game to Croatia, got their lead, and then Spain looked decent, to be fair, from a footballing point of view. Kept the ball well, tidy.
Yeah, this wasn't a 3-0 game, though. No. Bad goals defensively for Croatia to concede. Brilliant goal and assist for Ruiz. Takes the second one really well, but you want individually players to deal with that moment better. The first pass that he puts Morata through is a great pass, but you could have driven a bus through Croatia's backline, which shouldn't happen. And then the third goal was a bad goal. Obviously, Carvajal scores at the near post, which meant an assist for Lamine Yamal, who is obscene, mate. 6.5 forward in this as well. I think will become popular for us the longer this goes on. Very nearly scored. Probably Livkovic probably produced save of the weekend, I would have thought, from the chance Yamal had in the second half. But it doesn't tell the story. I think you see the result and you go, oh, blimey, Spain really well beat Croatia, and they were good on the ball. I'd be very concerned about them off the ball. Right. Because Croatia had plenty of chances. Admittedly, the XG at the end is a little bit skewed by, obviously, the penalty that's missed. But they had chances all through this game, Croatia. Like, Spain were deserving winners, I think. Was it a 3-0 game? No way. Big game for Croatia now against Albania, which obviously they've got to win. And Croatia have the awkwardness with the goal difference, right?
Three's a lot.
It'd be interesting, do they go for a big win maybe against Albania? But I think Albania showed Saturday night that they're not mugs and they're a half-decent team. So Croatia put themselves in a really awkward position. Probably almost hope, in a weird way, that Italy just get the job done maybe against Spain. Maybe not. I suppose then it's a head-to-head. You can still finish second. I'm trying to think about actually qualifying. Probably need 4 points, don't they? Yeah. Because of, again, the goal difference. So if you take ones like Serbia losing by 1 last night, if Serbia lose 1-0 to Slovenia and then beat Denmark 1-0, they're probably going to go through. That's what I'm saying at the moment, the way it's working out in the tournament. So Croatia in danger, certainly. And they're probably online to play your team, Nico. In the last 16, third place in that group is the most likely to head your way, actually.
But you never know, though, right? Italy beat Spain. Italy got nothing to play for. Croatia on limitless in match week 3 with something to play for, where a victory gets them through.
I think
what to think about
those either wild carding to use like as a free hit this week or a limitless are probably going to look at something Croatia.
Yeah,
Vardiol, if we're on limitless, certainly there's no reason to argue against that. That's probably the one to go for defensively. And I think Lovren Mayer had a really good chance in the first half. Should have done better from a rebound. He's probably the attacking one, I think, to punt. If you want to go down that route, I mean, it's a 7.5 midfielder, I think. So a specific one, if people are kind of slash free hitting slash limitless this week, Croatia you'll want to look at. They weren't as bad as the scoreline suggested, but I do think what I've been saying in the build-up to this is possibly one tournament too far.
Yep.
In terms of the age bracket, a lot of them players.
Albania, you just mentioned there, tried to spoil the party with an early goal against Italy, sneaking the lead.
DeMarco assist.
A lot will have gone with whether it's Buongiorno or
who didn't play,
DiMarco or even someone with Donnarumma. So I know a lot decided that defensive Italian option was just the easy one because they didn't know where to go with the attacking options or didn't want to or need to skimp out and get Jorginho. So that was a horrible clean sheet wipeout. But they did come back, Barilla, and who scored the other?
Bastoni's equaliser.
Yeah.
Bastoni was really kind of part. I know DeMarco got a lot of the blame for obviously Albania's goal. It was such a bizarre throwing, but Bastoni doesn't help either. You can't really back off in that sort of scenario. You've got to go and attack the thing. And Albania scored the quickest goal in Euros history by, I think, over 30 seconds or so. Remarkable start. I missed it.
That's the worst.
So early.
That's
chatting to someone.
That's the in a game where you're an underdog by that much. That's the worst time to score. It's almost like you're giving them the whole game to get back into it.
Italy should have been level pretty much from the kickoff. Actually, Pellegrini had a chance that went right wide, and I mean they've turned the game around within 16 minutes. But largely didn't do too much in the second half. I mean, Italy's XG in the second half, 0.13. DeMarco, I think, is keepable. I might sell because of the opponent they've got in Spain. But if you look at it stylistically, he's essentially playing as a left winger within possession. So a little bit like with England last night with like Saka hugging the touchline on the right and pushing Trippier on. Think similar here with Chiesa doing that for Italy on the right and DeMarco really pushing on the left-hand side. The difference being DeMarco is way more comfortable playing that position than obviously Kieran Trippier is, although Trips did fine last night. So I think DeMarco you could keep. That's a better one than Di Lorenzo if you took that opposite route. Not that I'd flip one for the other at the moment. I think if you went Di Lorenzo, you'd probably be looking to move that on this week, I think. I think if you're probably on Limitless, you're probably not looking at Italy this week. And I don't know if you go into Spain either, if you're on Limitless. I think you largely avoid it. So from that group, you probably would be targeting Croatian players, I think. So good how Italy recovered really quickly, but not exceptional here. And it took a big save from Donnarumma near the end to win the game for them as well.
Let's talk about Sunday games. Poland 1, Netherlands 2, James. Yeah. Cody Gakpo, our friend Wout Weghorst
this
on the score sheet.
Also fell into the line of inferior team got better the longer it went on as well. So this one very much was, I think those who watched it in the first half were like, how has this gone in level? Netherlands had so many chances in the first half. But in the second, it never looked like it was going to win the game.
Right.
Never looked like it was going to win the game. Weghorst comes on and scores basically straight away. 2 assists for Nathan Ake. And there was some good...
Yeah, that's not going to stick, is it, though?
What?
Ake getting assists.
No, but he played fullback, so you know if people want to have a little bit of that,
it must be a lot cheaper than Dumfries, for example. Ake must be 4.5, 5.
It's 5, I think.
And Dumfries is only $500,000 more.
If you're going in for this specific week, you're not doing it because they're playing France this week.
Yeah.
I think in Poland's case, I'd probably rather keep my eye on what Austria show tonight to target Austria players against Poland, because although they got better. Same thing. It was like, they're going to get a point out of it, but I didn't think they were ever going to beat the Dutch. And even when they scored early, it was a surprise. But the way the game was going, very quickly, the Dutch got back control. The only thing I'd say on them that stood out for me, I found them all quite individualistic in their work. So I thought like Gakpo actually played really well in the first half, then faded. Xavi Simons I didn't think had a particularly great game on the right, and ironically it might even be that Frimpong plays against France, but I still think that's without the knowledge.
It's France at the end of the day.
That as well. It's probably going to get moved on. Depay, we know, is very individualistic in the way he wants to do things. He was having some flashes in the first half. You could tell, I want to show who I am. He had a headband on, which was white, and on the back it had a little message said, "Who cares?"
Okay.
I don't know. You'd have to ask Memphis Depay. One to keep an eye on, maybe not for now, but maybe later in the tournament, as possibly a little bit of an enabler as a player I hadn't seen before, Tijani Rajinder, who played in midfield. He's 6.5. Positionally, he was getting some really dangerous areas. He was the one, an 8.
No.
He was the one that was really getting into the areas really high and supporting, though. Again, you're not going to go and invest in that this week. There's every chance Lewandowski will be back for Poland. I think that game's on Friday. Yes, must be. And that will obviously benefit them because they've certainly missed him yesterday. Zielinski tries to create. He's a good player. I think, let's see what we see from Austria tonight. I mean, it might be we sit here tomorrow and we go, yeah, I want to target some Austria players for that. The Dutch wouldn't concern me, I think.
Wouldn't concern you if England were playing them, or they don't concern you from wanting to get many assets from a fantasy point of view?
Exactly as I said last week. If could the Netherlands beat England? Yeah, of course, absolutely. Would I be overly concerned about it? No. Not particularly. Agreed. I think defensive obviously got good players. I thought Stefan de Vrij was really good at centre back, and I could see yesterday why he played that position as Van Dijk's partner. I thought he was excellent in terms of his cover defensively, and I imagine he'll stay in the team. Van Dijk had a few
wobbles,
moments, yeah.
Still sad, isn't he? Missing Klopp.
Could be.
Let's talk about England's group, shall we? Denmark won, Slovenia won.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I think this was one yesterday for those who were going to sit and watch everything yesterday. And my hangover was just about wearing off by the time this kicked off at 5 o'clock.
So what did you do? Start drinking again?
No, I didn't even go out, Suj.
Yeah.
I did. To be honest, I was going to go out, and I said about an hour, just as this was finishing, I said to the wife, I don't think I'm going to go out, actually. Yeah. Like, you still struggling? I was like, yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Just
I really did have one too many on Saturday. So I think this was probably one people, no, I'm not sure I'm that interested. I could skip that one. So it was good fun, actually, with a really nice story, obviously, Eriksen scoring.
Oh, man, 4 years. Not quite to the day, but 4 years from
1,100 days exactly.
Wow.
If you want a nice round number from obviously the cardiac arrest against Finland, and he takes the goal so well. He it's the only way he can score. He chests it forward and he arcs his body, and I think most players in that moment would try and lever it as hard as they can because they're on the stretch. All he thinks is, if I just get the aim and the direction on this right, I'm going to score, and his toe pokes it in on the half volleys. Beautiful little goal. Well assisted by the wind. Not the actual wind, but just wind. But I found Slovenia quite interesting in this. So unlike a lot of the unfancied teams who a lot of them are playing a back three, that's a real difference to what we often see in the Premier League. So many teams playing like a back five. Slovenia are real like an old school 4-4-2. And what I liked about them, even when they were struggling in the first half, was almost like an acknowledgement of we know what we are.
Yep.
So we're a little bit limited. And they were trying to play direct balls over the top, but not like not just like lumping it long. I mean, trying to get runners in behind and expose Vestergaard, who's quite slow, for example. And they had a few kind of nearly moments in the first half. Then in the second half, they were getting it much better. They were actually, when they went direct over the top and got Denmark turned, were quite dangerous. Mm-hmm. And it's something England will want to be aware of, obviously, when they played them in the last game. That said, again, limited. And I'm not overly surprised with Denmark. I think once Eriksen was less able to dictate the game the longer it went on, which is becoming more understandable because he's also getting older now and also doesn't regularly play as high up as he does for Denmark for, say, Manchester United. Yeah, Slovenia really came at them, and Denmark were quite happy to take their 1-0, and it never felt safe at all. When the equaliser came, it was very much deserved.
It wasn't safe in the end, was it? Slovenia now, I mean, that was a 3 point almost, where that Serbia-Slovenia game, they'll be looking at that thinking, if we can win 4 points, might help us qualify, even if this is the best third place.
It's the only group with a draw in it so far, so it's the widest open. I mean, even Serbia this morning will be thinking, yeah, got a real chance, obviously, qualifying still, absolutely. Yep. So that Serbia-Slovenia game on Thursday, that's the early kickoff, becomes a big one. Whoever wins will probably go through. I imagine now England's group will have 3 teams will go through, will qualify from that group. That's highly, highly likely. Yeah, what they did, they dropped Wind in deeper with Eriksson, so it created like a 2 behind. What I felt, though, was Højbjerg's a player, obviously, I know really well, and actually he's better on the ball than given credit, but I do feel like we'll get runners off them and they'll really struggle. I found Hjulman, his partner in midfield, I felt like he was hiding from it a few times. Felt like they had to come out through Højbjerg or into Eriksson, dropping in deeper. Didn't play out very well. And they're not as strong as the team that got to the semi-finals a few years ago, in my opinion. Højlund was really quiet. Okay. Really quiet. Maley didn't start. He played Christensen left wing back and Bar right wing back. I think that'll probably stick. The word is from those who follow Denmark is that's what they'd expected, was Maley not to start. So if you went there, I think that's, and with England next, you're probably selling. So I don't think you'd be going for Denmark players if you're limitless this week. Nope. Don't see it. I don't think there's anything there for Slovenia that you'd steam into either. Mind you, Sesko he had 2 ridiculous shots, 1 in each half, crashed the post in the second half. Yeah, when he gets it, and it reminded me a bit like a young Harry Kane, in the sense Harry used to be like that, and he still has that greed in him. Harry just used to see the post and just shoot when he was young. Sesko's a little bit like that. Good player. He's going to stay at Leipzig this year. Expect next summer him to be at Bayern or like a Premier League club.
Yep. Or Real Madrid, Barca, maybe.
How many players can Real Madrid have?
Real Madrid, I thought as soon as I mentioned it, I was like, they've got no room.
How many levers can Barcelona pull?
Yeah, that's also very true. So let's talk about, you mentioned Harry Kane there, let's talk about England. I think it's been a real mixture of outbursts in the media or kind of reporting in the media from people saying that it was a rubbish performance and we should be turning these over, to who cares, as long as we get 3 points, no one's going to remember this and it doesn't matter at all. I don't think England are as bad as sometimes people react and hyperbole. It doesn't help. The thing is, what doesn't help is pre-game, whether it's the news channels or the radios or whatever, they go around to pubs or bars or on the streets interviewing England fans, right? And the ones they're going to find are usually enjoying themselves. So let's say they've had a drink or two, or they're in positive spirits, or they're excited about the game. The only thing you'll hear people say is like, I've never heard anyone come on the radio or TV and say, I don't think we're going to win it, or that football's not coming home. Like that's the benchmark they set, is we'll only get people on who think it's going to come home. And what does that do? It fuels everyone else's excitement and enthusiasm all of a sudden, think we're going to win the whole tournament because...
Are you telling me we're not?
Well, I'm telling you that no one knows right now is the honest answer. So being a little bit more realistic, but I think that whole hype pre-game, and it's not hype of we're going to beat Serbia. It's hype is it's coming home and we're going to win the whole tournament, is what people are saying on interviews and stuff. Doesn't help, because you have a performance like this, and if you set the bar so high, you're only going to end up disappointed. I just don't think England are that bad, and they just feel their way into it. I look at things like, okay, what were the problems or potential problems yesterday? Well, Mark Gahey is very inexperienced at international level, partnering John Stones, right? That could have been a potential problem. I thought he did really well. He did fine. Mark
Gay was excellent.
Yeah. So
really good.
And then the other players are all experienced, seasoned internationals. So I don't think there's particularly any... Consider Jordan Pickford pulled off that great save. He did all right. He was sharp. He didn't have a lot to do. I thought England were fine. Like, do you know what? Were they all singing, all dancing? No. But we worried about... Saka came off second half, right? And it's like, okay, he was pretty quiet in the second, as were England. But he was pretty lightning in the first, and he put it on a plate for Jude as well. So what do you want? 90 minutes of everybody at peak performance all the time.
What's really important is that it's absolutely okay to look at the second half performance yesterday and go, we need to be a lot better than that. That's absolutely
We will
fine
need to be
say
against better teams, but it's easy to pick yourself up against better teams.
It's also, I think it's really important to understand, well, why did that happen? Was it just because the obvious thing to say was England didn't keep the ball well in the second half? It's the trait that we've always had in these major tournaments. But it's important to understand, why did that happen? Mm-hmm. So it carried a theme as what's happened a lot in a lot of other games, where Serbia gave England way too much respect in the start of that football match. England in the first half hour were really, really good, but also not as good as they were as, say, not as bad later in the game.
Yeah.
Because Serbia's impact in that opening half hour was non-existent, other than stopping England getting into the penalty area. No engagement at any point whatsoever. So England were really fluid and nice in the opening half hour. We had what we kind of expected tactically, with Trippier playing, which hopefully will be a role that Luke Shaw is going to move into during the course of this tournament, and it will give us better balance. Foden moving into 10 position with Jude, and also Trent moving from the right side of the pivot with Declan Rice to get involved in those areas where you want him and where you've seen him for Liverpool, be it dropping into right back and pushing someone further on, or dropping into half space areas where you hope he can deliver these brilliant crosses. And that didn't particularly transpire. But Serbia gave England way too much respect. So, for example, perfect case in scenario was Saka had so much freedom on that right-hand side in the first half, and Pavlovic, the left-sided centre-back, was having nightmares. He was coming out to Saka. This is something I did in the piece on Talking Tactics last week. The wing-backs will push high. If you break through it, you can draw their centre-backs across. Then that becomes really uncomfortable. If Saka's got it at feet and he can run at his man, you know how dangerous he is. If you're a big centre-back, and they're such a physical, tall team, Serbia, then you're in trouble. But after Kostic went off injured, they changed structurally for the second half and went, right, this isn't working. We've given them way too much respect. Let's go and be aggressive, and we're going man-to-man all over the pitch. That's what changed. Serbia went man-to-man. So now for Pavlovic, he's basically just, his job is man-marking Saka. He's not left-sided centre-back anymore. He's basically left-back. So when the ball's coming into Saka, Pavlovic is right in his back all the time now, and he's being aggressive, he's pushing, he's pulling, all these sort of things. And Saka, obviously, his importance within the game, like he didn't really have a role in the second half because the ball's coming to him to his feet, and this guy's there now. So there's no time to breathe. So Serbia strategically have changed. And because they've gone man-to-man all over the pitch, we can't play out in the same way, right? In the first half, we were able to get it into their half by just playing out from goalkeeper to centre-backs to Jude can come and get it, whatever we want. Now they've gone, no, you're not doing that. And that's why we ended up going direct so much. The problem with that, of course, is what I already said, the giants all over the pitch. Ironically, Harry Kane got better as the game went on. Part of that was he was, again, in a one-to-one duel, rather than quite often in the first half, wasn't able to find any space because it was three centre-backs around him like at all times. So he had a one-on-one duel. Sometimes he won it, sometimes he didn't. I want to talk about Kane a little bit because I'm really, really tired of the narrative of former footballers who played for England in major tournaments and couldn't keep the football, keep going with this stupid narrative of, oh, we need an out. We need an out. We need Harry Kane to stay up front. We need an out. I don't know where I do know where this idea comes from. It's like an old age style of what football tactics should be. Oh, Harry Kane must stay up front all the time. I really dislike it.
There was a lot of
Harry
chat,
Kane to drop short.
To be fair, even in the build-up of, so many of the things that they were saying on the radio and on TV, you think, I don't know if you even know what you're talking about, but Kane's the perfect example where it was a case of they were trying to spin the narrative, weren't they, that Kane doesn't trust the midfielders, that's why he drops deep all the time. You've got the same narrative being like, if Kane can pick up the ball in a 10 position, if Foden and Saka can run ahead of him, that's really good. Well, what do you want? Do you want him to hold the ball up, or do you want him to drop deep, pick it up and play balls through? Because you can't do both at the same time.
So,
which is better? And when you got Bellingham who can make runs as well beyond, right?
Exactly. So once they've gone in the second half, particularly once they've then gone man to man, I get it, right? They got 3 centre backs pinned in. We've got so much of the ball in the first half. At that point, I completely agree. Yes, you want Harry to stay there because there's no need for you to drop in because we've got Jude, Foden, Trent all playing on the edge of their box, right? You don't need to get involved, but you can still do it and interchange just as long as someone else goes and feeds that position. In the second half, when he's in a one-to-one duel and he's getting man-marked, drop short and bring him with you, and then you can have Jude and Phil Foden go and fill the space in behind and stuff.
Let me ask you a question. What's an outball? And so
when they're describing that yesterday on the punditry, what they're saying is a target man, someone you can knock it up to.
Exactly. So for me, outball, what they're doing with Harry Kane in that instance is trying to turn him into Emil Heskey, let's say, which is knock it up to him and he'll hold the ball up and he'll be strong against the centre back and then try and find a pass to lay off or win a foul. Or for West Ham, for example, we play counter-attacking football, and for us, Kudus and Bowen are outballs because they win it, and Grealish is similar. They drive up the pitch. Ball carriers, but that's an outball as well. It depends what language you want to use. Kane's not that outball. But he's also not a target man. Like if you're using Harry Kane as a target man, what are you doing? Which, if you've got Saka, Foden, Bellingham behind him, if you had no wingers or no creativity behind, and you're trying to do how'd you be not offensive? It was Stoke under Pulis or something, right?
Wow, harsh.
This is my problem. I don't want to offend anyone, but I feel like I offend everyone.
I enjoyed that Stoke when it played Arsenal.
The style was knock it up to the big guy who'll hold it up and then bring everybody in from that, right? With a Crouch or whoever.
The long throws.
Yeah. That's different. That's a different outball. I just don't... I think they're looking for sound bites because I don't think they know what they want. For me, I don't care what Kane does. I'm happy for him to drop in deep because I trust Bellingham's clever enough to go beyond, and obviously he's bursting into the box to take his goal. I would want to see Foden get more involved, but if Kane drops deeper, does that allow Foden to get more in the box? Maybe.
What you got to realise as well is because Serbia was so passive in the first half, I think what England then discuss at half-time isn't in expectation that Serbia are going to do that. So what you've then discussed, and then you're looking around, you're probably looking for answers on the pitch, like, well, why is this happening? Saka, bloody hell, this is a really different football match I'm having now. And I think that caused a little bit of confusion. And Jude spoke, as he always speaks, so articulately afterwards. He's like, we've got to learn from these experiences, what happens in this moment, how do we move into this and understand? So, there's a learning process from that yesterday. And I think one of the learning processes is, if someone's going to do that to us, because there'll be a good team that does do that to us and is brave enough to do it, how do we deal with that? And part of that will be, yes, Harry Kane, go and wander. Yes, Jude does it anyway. But then, Jude goes and fills that space or comes in and gets in with the centre-backs. And we carry people well out the way to then be able to play through it. So I think there was a bit of confusion caused by their change tactically. I think that was part of the problem. And that's why we didn't keep the ball as well second half. But then there's also individual moments in the game where all of them have got to be more responsible and braver on the ball. Because they've gone man-to-man, but man-to-man, we're better all over the pitch. And so at that point, you've got to show it. But I think there was a shock with what happened in that second half last night, and I think that's why there was a struggle. I think individually, one of the other things that really annoyed me last night, the worst thing you can probably do is go on Twitter, but even like The Athletic, who you kind of trust to be really good in terms of their journalism, on their social media 15 minutes after full time, should Phil Foden be dropped for England's next game? And I'm thinking, pack it in, because if this is how you are, this is how everyone else is going to be.
Correct.
Just breathe and understand. So the role that Phil Foden had last night, there's only one other player in that squad who could replicate that role, and it's Eze. And it's not a role that Eze is used to playing, where, yes, you're going to play from the left and you drift into the central area systematically and just go. Could he do it? Yeah, differently. Do you want Anthony Gordon to do that? No. If Anthony Gordon's going to play, I want to hold touchline.
Yeah, maybe he drops into centre-forward positions, though, Anthony Gordon, quite a bit for Newcastle.
I said on one of these pods last week, I was like, I can't think of many good games Phil Foden's had for England. And he certainly wasn't great last night either. But the role that he's playing takes a lot of work. He covered more ground last night than anybody else, is why he also didn't get taken off. Because there's a real importance on what's happening strategically and his involvement and his role. So we need to understand that. Trent had good and bad parts of his game. I saw a lot of, it's the same people demanding that he must play, like he must come out the team now. Didn't see it that way at all. And I think otherwise, largely, it was okay, but it was obviously not good. We acknowledge it wasn't good.
Yeah, but if we do that 6 more times, who cares? My question to you is...
But we also don't want to watch that 6 more times. And we won't, right? Because there's not actually many teams going to be brave enough to go and do that to England and go man-to-man. Like, majority of the top teams not going to do it. Also, not going to be able to do it for 90 minutes or 120 minutes. That's for sure as well. They're a physical, imposing team, and they were right at it in the second half. The temperature is really cool at the moment. That's going to change over the next week or so as well. So teams who want to press are going to find it harder as the tournament goes on because it's going to get hotter. You can see that looking at the temperatures throughout the week in Germany. It gets up sort of like 26 by the weekend. So for those who got the earlier kickoffs in the sunshine, it's going to get more difficult. England played in kind of traditional English conditions last night, didn't they? It wasn't hot. It's night time. Yep. It's raining at parts of the game as well. So... yeah, not good, but we'll get better, and no one's going to remember this. A couple of weeks to be forgotten. England beat Denmark 3-0 on Thursday, be well forgotten. I said towards the end of last week, I think we might find that Serbia might be the toughest game in the group. It's been won.
Stylistically, as opposed to maybe technically.
Yes,
yeah.
It's been won.
Yeah, look, 6 more games. If we only score 6 more goals and don't concede any, 1 per game, we win the tournament. So it's all we need. It's funny how...
We're not going to win 7 games 1-0, Suj.
No, we're not, but...
No, because I think we'll get better as well.
I was thinking about it when we won 1-0 yesterday. Like for the Arsenal team in the 90s and whatever, it was a badge of honour. 1-0 to the Arsenal. For us, we look at it as it's not good enough. We kept a clean sheet. Only one other team has so far, without our starting choice.
And Spain definitely shouldn't have.
Back.
Whereas you look at Serbia last night, you know, one Jordan Pickford save from long distance, which is right above his head.
Yeah, he's going to save that.
He saves it every time. That's it. The big concern for me going into the game was Tadic working in half spaces and getting crosses in to Mitrovic and Vlahovic because they're both strong in the air. I was so relieved when Mitrovic went off, to tell you the truth, because as you're getting deeper and deeper, it didn't make sense to me that they took him off. Fair enough. But it's all about stopping crosses, quite a lot of it, right? Not actually going to hurt you in open play or anything. And we dealt with that pretty well. John Stones had one really alarming moment where he got absolutely burnt for pace. I don't know what happened there. But there's that, right? You've got players who are not at 100% fitness. He's one. And Mark Gay as well was so impressive. I think was really good on the ball with his distribution as well. Better than I was expecting. Really good. He did punch the odd pass into midfield, and when he did it, it was largely fine. He had one bad pass in the second half, but so did everybody at some point, even like Declan Rice, who was brilliant again, had one really strange pass he made in the second half. He's been injured for, 3 months at Palace, played not a lot of football either. That was a really, really composed performance. He's calm. He always comes across as unflustered. I actually thought Kieran Trippier played really well at left back. I know it's not what people want to see, but if you understand what he is and the role he played in the game, I thought he played it absolutely fine. Declan was great, as I said.
What would you do for Denmark? Same again, please, on the lineup?
Yep, for me, same.
Okie dokie. And
unless Luke Shaw can be ready, I think it's probably more you want to get minutes into Luke Shaw.
Rather than starting.
If we can get ourselves into a position, like I found as well for Gareth last night, making subs was really awkward. Because I look at certain things like Wharton. So this is a perfect case. When we played Iceland in the friendly, I remember coming low in confidence because of that Iceland game as well. For me, you're dictating so much or struggling to dictate that you need someone like Wharton in there who's going to change your tempo. We didn't need that last night, in my opinion, because the game was too physical. If you'd have brought him in today, I think we'd have got bullied out of it quite badly.
I did understand totally the Conor Gallagher for Trent made sense, get some energy and legs. I didn't expect, if I'm honest, to see Jared Bowen come on from Saka.
He was really good when he came on, Jared. That was a big plus as well.
I mean, he's physically quite strong. Like, he takes a lot of kicks because that's just the style of player he is. He's going to get it. And he's not scared to take the few kicks, so it was good in terms of what he was able to do. It's
little things, like I think you're probably having a build-up with him there, where obviously Saka's effectiveness, through no fault of his own, is obviously on the wane in the game. Bowen's got a period where he can, so Saka's not expecting that second half. Bowen's got a period where he can look at what he's doing and go, right, how can I change this? How can I go in behind? And he nearly creates the goal for Kane straight away.
That was a lovely moment. I thought it was a goal. All I could shout when I saw it came across as like, how can he not? And keeper saves it, right? At the end of the day, it's a save, not a miss. He did well, and then obviously Mino came on for the last 5 for Jude, give or take.
He's not bad, is he? Jude
or Mino, both are okay. But I mean, yeah, he's going to get all the headlines, but you almost are like, should we calm down? But he's just that good. He speaks, 6'4".
I'm not sure.
Beast, man. I'm sure he's 6'4".
In terms of his arrogance and his confidence.
It's confidence. It's not arrogance.
No, he does have an arrogance.
Swagger.
Swagger, maybe, yeah.
Swagger's better, yeah.
It's the most any England's players had since Gascoigne.
Yeah, Gascoigne had it.
Well, maybe young Rooney.
In a cheekier way. Whereas this guy, he's just about getting down to business. Gascoigne, you can say, was looking to fuck about as much as he could because he's just that kind of character. Jude just wants to win. He just wants to win.
He's good. He's just the whole package.
Yeah.
He's the whole package. I watch him sometimes because what we did a lot, particularly obviously it went on more and more second half, was we ourselves became kind of 4-5-1 without the ball, and Jude was dropping in as like a left-sided 8, which I think also was better for Trent in that period where he was on the game.
Yep.
So then Declan could sit and see either side and just sweep his issues, and Declan was great at that. But I watch him sometimes and I look at it and I think, I'm not sure if you're a bit lazy off the ball.
Rice or Jude?
No, Jude.
Yeah.
But he doesn't, you forgive it all.
His timing of his runs.
His work rate is exceptional.
Ridiculous.
And you also want him doing his work, even if it is off the ball stuff, at the top end of things. I mean, he could carry us right through this.
Yeah, the main compliment or praise or whatever, like Declan Rice has been my club player for how long till we lost him last year. Like, my love affair with him is deep. And if I had any one player in the England squad that I had the most affection for, it would be him. Because of years of him being my player. Like you with Kane, maybe, perhaps. But I look at Jude now and I'm like, actually, you know what? Like, Declan Rice is £100 million world-class midfielder. Not a question. Incredible. Walks into any team in the world. But Jude is levels above. It's not even a comparison. Different positions, different everything. But everything about him with Jude, I'm like, actually, you know what? More Declan Rice, what I loved about him is his marketability. I said for Arsenal, you're going to be able to put him on your posters, make him captain, and do that. Jude's marketability, he just speaks so well. Everything about him is just that levels above. And for me to look at him and be like, even you're putting my adopted son in Declan Rice in the shade in every way, on the pitch, footballing, media, brand. I don't know where the ceiling is for him. I don't think there's a ceiling.
I'd say what he definitely is, whenever it stops for Harry Kane, he's definitely England's next captain.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that.
Well, they were talking about this leadership group. I don't know if you heard on the radio this morning. So Gareth Southgate has had a leadership group, which was Harry Kane, Kyle Walker, Declan Rice. That was his 3. It's 4 now.
Is Jude a part of it?
They've introduced him into the leadership group. 20 years old, man. Yeah, love him. And so be it. Like, I want characters like him and Rice and all these guys that are really wholesome, Foden of the world and Saka's and stuff, to go on and do it. Go on. But I came away happy, but I don't get too sad when we lose. I don't get too hyped when we win. It's a win. It's a clean sheet and we move on.
It's absolutely okay to say I'm not happy with that last night. It's absolutely okay.
It wasn't a perfect performance.
I just think it's really important that people understand why it got like that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's not to say we've forgiven it because England have to deal with that better. I'm just trying to explain why I think it happened and why England got into those problems. And I think you'll find Serbia are a decent team and they'll get themselves out of this, I think. And I think we might look back on this and go, yeah, that was all right. We always, talk back to Gareth and stuff. Gareth's going to hold us back. We hadn't won an opening game at a major tournament since 1982, I think.
Oh, wow.
When Gareth Southgate took over. It's now 4 in a row.
1982, you said?
Yeah, I think so.
Gareth didn't take over.
Oh, no, Tunisia, 1998.
Okay.
It's the only one I think over that.
It's
whole
like Germany
period.
had lost their last 3 or 4 opening games as well prior to Scotland, from what I remember.
And listen, for every Italy were amazing in their first game 4 years ago. There's
Portugal didn't win a game, Nico. We love sticking that one. We're going to do a single Euro podcast without mentioning the fact that Portugal won.
It's true. Portugal drew with Iceland in their opener and went on to win it, right? So, yeah, listen, you can't win a tournament at the start. You can lose it and put yourself in shit. And again, defensively strong. I think as well, reflect going into it, we'd have been like, I'm a bit concerned about stuff defensively. Like the unit defensively didn't give away a lot yesterday. And I had people, I want to play with more flamboyance, whatever. We could have, and we'd open up on transition and get done with a ball coming into the box. We dealt with it last night. I'm not proud of what I watched last night, but I also don't care. The main game in this group has been won as the first one. And now we can build into the tournament, which realistically for us now starts whoever we play in the last 16.
Agreed. Good. Cool. We've got 2 more days. Who are you captaining tonight, just to wrap on that?
I'm sticking on Jude.
Okay, that's it. You're done. I'm on Mbappe today, or Lukaku if I feel fruity later.
I would go Lukaku over Mbappe.
And then tomorrow I will see, but I'll probably be Bruno Fernandes if I'm still playing the game. I know people will have Ronaldo. Or
I think I'm doing this with Clates tomorrow, I want to say. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah? Clates tomorrow, you Wednesday.
Yep.
Angus McPhail Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I'll tell you why. I messaged Angus this morning, and I thought...
Just so people know, Angus McPhail is not Scottish.
Yeah, he is.
Is he Scottish? He's English. What flag is he? Is he going to change his shirt depending on who wins? Come on, Angus.
No, Angus is definitely Scottish, mate.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Angus McPhail. I've spent plenty of time with Angus. I've never known him to be Scottish.
I thought that would be an interesting thing to do, as obviously Scotland play Switzerland Wednesday night and get the Scottish version. And also get the Scottish version maybe on England a little bit on Thursday as well. And
tune in on Thursday and you can judge by Angus's accent how Scottish he really is.
He's very Scottish. Glasgow Rangers is his football team, except when he also supports Arsenal in his spare time as well.
Yeah, and that's Angus who does the Gaffer Fantasy podcast as well.
Correct.
Very, very, very knowledgeable football brain. So looking forward to actually listening to that and having him on. And if you're Scottish, all good.
Okay.
Cool.
That's a wrap.
It is indeed. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed our Euros wrap up as we get closer and closer towards it coming home, because it's going to, innit, James? Maybe not. Let's stay safe. Look after yourselves. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Be nice to each other. Cue music, please. Man child.